you, Dan, and welcome everybody. Good to see everybody after a 2-week break here. We had the holiday of Passover, Pesach, same as my name, and we were eating our matzah and gaining weight and doing all the other things we do on Passover and celebrating our freedom. The unique thing about this year is we had to do it in our homes by ourselves. Every Jewish family was by themselves wherever they were in the world, in the house, and celebrating the Passover Seder. And that's exactly what happened 3,300 years ago on that night, where everybody was told to go into your home, close the door, don't come out, you're locked in till morning, and eat the Passover Seder, eat the sacrifice that was made of the Egyptian god, the lamb that we ate there, to show them, or God showing them that he's greater than their gods. And it's never been done before, 3,300 years. Generally, it's a holiday where families spend together, they get together, they travel from all over the world to be together that one night for Passover and celebrate it as a family thing, just like many other people do on different days, like Thanksgiving and other times. So it was just kind of a very deep experience, actually, because as I sat and I looked at Shira, and there were just the two of us at the table, we were imagining ourselves sitting in a little hut there in Egypt with the blood pit, you know, the mark that the angel of death passes over on our door, and just the two of us sitting there doing this together. And it felt almost like time travel. I mean, we were just like back then when we closed the door. In the morning when he opened the door, we were back up in this, back here in the where we are today, with one difference. Back then, at the finish of Passover night, everybody opened their doors, went outside, and left Egypt. Well, guess what? We had to turn around, go back inside, and lock the door again, because we're all on lockdown because of this plague that's going on in the world. And that's exactly what happened 3,300 years ago. The plague that came and killed the firstborn of Egypt, their children, their families, their animals, their livestock, everything. The firstborn died. And so, of course, when you go through an experience like that, you start thinking about all the things connected with it. And what happened 3,300 years ago is the Egyptians, as we came out of our homes back then, said, get out of here, leave, go away. We've had enough of your God doing these things to us. Today, we have a lot of people in the world saying, look at the Jews are doing it again. They're killing people. They're trying to take control of the world. They're doing all this, we call it blood libel type teachings. And it's not very pleasant for us. And over the last week since then, a lot of things have been happening in the world aside from the coronavirus. And people that most of the world isn't aware of the other things going on because they don't see it in the news where they are. But around the world, even in the USA, synagogues are being burned. Jewish people's homes are being painted all over with graffiti of, you know, like they used to do back in during World War II. Even in America, it's happening. It even happened one place here in Israel. The Arabs did a place here in Israel. And Jewish boys and girls and men and women are getting beat up in Europe, in the USA, and in many other countries. And there, a lot of the world and intelligent people are actually blaming the Jews for the coronavirus and for the plague and for the death. And we are being, again, singled out, and some of us being hurt pretty bad physically, aside from the fact that other things that people go through. I mean, even in New York, in California, in Boston, in Florida, in Texas, and in major cities in Germany and France and Spain and Italy. And they're even doing demonstrations against the Jewish people and against Israel, essentially. And there are a couple of Noahide groups that people that call themselves Noahides that say, well, we don't need you guys. They're going right into the replacement theology that has been taught by the Christians since year one, when Marcion started this stuff. Last week in Denmark, the Bible Society of Denmark published a new Bible, and it doesn't mention Israel at all. It replaced the word Israel with Jews, which is, I mean, we are that and we are that, but that's not what the original Bible says. They also, anytime the word Israel is used, it has to do with the land where we used to live. It has nothing to do with today. Today, we're in a place where we're not supposed to be, and we stole the land. Again, this is starting all over the world. What disappoints me, to be quite honest with you, is the Noahides, that they have blocked some Jewish people from coming into their rooms. They are disassociating themselves with Israel. And it's kind of a disappointment because we're working so hard to put a community together that is in direct contact with the God of Israel. I mean, that's what he calls himself. We didn't do anything. We're not trying to do anything. We're just following God. And one of the things that happens when a person becomes a Noahide, which again, I will reiterate, it's not quite the description I like to use for you guys, because you guys, that's like a made up kind of thing to identify what group you're with, because the Torah calls you the righteous of the nations. The righteous of the nations connect with Israel, God's nation and God's people. And you become part of the people of the God of Israel, and naturally, so you're a part of Israel. And those that choose to disconnect themselves, and you guys probably know some people that, oh, I'm an atheist, but I'm a Noahide because I don't have to believe in God to do the 7, which of course you do. And other things like that. And it's going to be a little difficult for you guys right now talking to people, because the old replacement theology has popped its head up again, and the hatred of the Jews has popped its head up again. And it's becoming stronger. As a matter of fact, during our Memorial Day observance for the survivors, in remembrance of the people that died in World War II, some Nazi groups broke in and started singing Heil Hitler, and this is an international worldwide broadcast. They broke into the broadcast and just started putting up pictures of just atrocities that the Nazis did during World War II. And they clapping their hands and cheering and singing Heil Hitler, and may his name be erased from all history. And this is something that needs to be dealt with. It's great that we're walking with the God of Israel. It's great that we're doing what he tells us to do. And I don't know where he's from, actually, Tony. Not sure. So while they didn't change Jacob's name, he's just not called Israel anymore. Every place in the world, he's just called Jacob. And Israel is no longer Israel, it's just the Jews. And this is a Christian Bible. And why are they acting like that? Let me tell you, when we left Egypt 3,300 years ago, the same day that we left, we got attacked by a group of people called the Amalekites. And they came up from behind us and they killed the old and the weak. and Joshua had to fight him. And if you remember what happened there, that's the fight where Moses had his hands up in the air, and was it Aaron that held his hands up? And every time his hands went down, we started to lose. And then with his, but they pushed his hands up, we were winning again. It's been happening for 3,300 years, so we're used to it. But this is going to be new for some of you guys. You're going to hear some pretty stupid things. There's a guy there that promotes, but I don't know. There's a guy I know that was involved in trying to blow up some synagogues. And actually there was an organization that was run by an American boy, 14 years old, that was worldwide and had a bunch of Christians and Arabs ready to do things. They arrested 3 guys here in Jerusalem last week or week before. They were going to blow up the big football stadium while people were in it in Jerusalem. Now, I don't like to talk about these things, but they're the reality of the reality. This is our world that we live in. And it's not all peaches and cream, and not everybody there is nice, and not everybody's going to follow the God of Israel, and not everybody's going to, they'll act like they're friendly, but they're not. That's the only thing I can say. We have a hint to this in the prophecies. What it says is that the time is going to come when God is going to demand, the God of Israel is going to demand that all nations come up to Jerusalem during Sukkot once a year and present themselves before him. And those that don't, he's going to cut off their rain. There will be no rain, which just means that they're getting a death sentence for who they are. And people will have a choice. And Sharon and I were talking about this. It's just, well, how can anybody even have a choice? God's going to make himself known. He's going to be here in our presence in Jerusalem, like he has promised. He's going to be on earth and dwell with us from Jerusalem. And we're going to have the king of the line of David ruling. How could somebody deny this? The truth is, people are going to deny it pretty vehemently. There's always people that are against. It never fails. Because they think what they think is smarter than what God thinks or better than what God thinks, and they don't need that. Pharaoh is one of those people, by the way. So I hate to start off after 2 weeks coming back talking about these things, but it's the truth of the world. It's uglier than the coronavirus. It's deadlier than the coronavirus. And it's something that everybody has to be aware of. Now, some of you guys have come to me about the antisemitism and the people that are being nasty like that. And you don't understand it. Some of you you get angry about it. You get upset about it. No point getting angry and upset. This is just the way it is. It's always been this way until actually the reign of the Messiah and the King in Jerusalem is going to continue that way. And what I ask you to do is don't allow this to bring up anger or hate or some negative emotion in you. But be prepared for it, because you're going to get it. If you're talking to people you know, and they're going to ask questions of you, or they're going to try to convince you, well, you don't need the Jews. You don't need to have a relationship with God. Everybody's got their relationship with God. Well, that's true. We all do. But he's the God of Israel. And when he came down on the first time and gave he said his first 10 words to human beings, to all of us, the very first thing he says, Anochi, he says, Anochi, I am the God that created everything. I am the God of Israel. That's the first line on what we call the 10 Commandments, which really, there's no such thing as 10 Commandments, because that's not in, that word is also not in the Tanakh at all. It's the 10 said things. In Hebrew, that's how it translates to English. Eser Dvorot, the 10 speakings, this what we call the 7 universal laws that we call the 7 mitzvot of Bnei Noach. They're really not mitzvot. They're 7 things God said. And there's a whole bunch of stuff under it. And we're going to get into that later in different teachings. But we're learning it from Rabbi Goldberg has some good classes in that. And he's teaching it. And we teach it and we talk about it. We talk about how to apply everything God wants from us in our daily lives, which isn't hard. But because everything that happens has something that happens, we say this against this. In other words, when you fire a gun, you ever watch those clips upon that when a person holds up a rifle and shoots it, what happens to the person if they don't have it against their shoulder? Everything that goes forward also has a reverse action. Everything has a positive action, has a negative action. The more goodness that you guys bring into the world, the more righteousness you bring into the world, the more the other side is going to increase itself in power because it feeds off of it. And so you're going to end up seeing weird things happening. I mean, really weird things happening. Not to go into a whole bunch about the coronavirus, but, you know, they said, oh, it came from a meat market and it came from rattlesnakes or it came from bats. That's all just, Solomon would say it's all hevel, it's mist. It's just what they're saying doesn't exist. And what's going to happen is we're going to find out something really, really, it's going to bother a lot of us, that this is actually man-made. Now, is it man-made to hurt somebody? I don't think so. But is it man-made? Yes. Why is it man-made? Because we love to mess around with stuff to see if we can make it weaponize it and make it whatever, more destructive. And this thing just happened. It just happened. I don't believe that anything just happens, but it got out of the lab there in Wuhan. And the first person that carried it out was a guy that worked there. And he went, the first place he stopped was the meat market to buy himself something on the way home. And it spread from there. And the scariest part of it is spread so fast. We haven't seen anything like this in our lifetimes. It happened during the Spanish flu. Just what happened, it's almost identical. Even the symptoms of the what happens to a person, what happens in their lungs. So it already existed, but in the lab, they just made it something, they tweaked it, I guess you could call it, made it something stronger. And it's going around the world pretty quick, and everybody thinks, oh, it's over, things are calming down. Be prepared, because it's not over. The Spanish flu, the Black Plague, all of the big plagues throughout history always started, leveled out, and then they came back kind of like with a vengeance. Just protect yourself and be careful. I'm not a doomsayer. I'm just stating facts that have happened in the world that a lot of people just don't know about. I don't believe in the deep state conspiracies that the Clintons control the world and Bill Gates set this up 15 years ago, and Fauci has been in the government for so long and they're controlling the drugs and making money. I don't believe all that stuff. Nobody is smart enough to be able to do something like that. No human being anyway. In all the secrecy they claim it happened. You can't control tens of thousands of people that well. You can't do it. Somebody's going to open their mouth. Somebody's going to say something to somebody. And to do it for that long a period of time. So just all these conspiracy theories put aside. Don't worry about them. That's not what happened. Somebody's tried to inject chips through a vaccine and stuff like that. It's a natural thing that was played with by human beings because we play with everything we get our hands on. You know, not I guess a month or two ago, maybe it was, was the anniversary of the first atomic bombs used on this planet on people. Millions of people died. We don't quite remember it so much. In Japan, they do. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the United States of America dropped 2 atomic bombs. Killed millions of people, innocent people. Why do we have atomic bombs? It's exactly the same thing as this virus. We took something that we saw and we played with it till we made it much more deadly. That's who we are. We're human beings. We're curious. We're powerful. We can think. We can reason. We want to investigate things. So what I'm telling you is there's going to be some changes you guys are going to actually experience. The younger people will not even realize it's a change. They're just going to go right along with it. There's going to be a few changes in our way of life for a while. The travel and the tourism and everything else all those freedoms we really loved are going to be gone for a little while, but not because of they're trying to restrict it from happening, because that's a big money-making industry, but this thing that's going around the world to keep it from killing more people, because it does have a deadly effect on certain people. I don't think anybody ever expected this was going to happen. I don't think any country or any scientist, like you see in the old movies, hey, look what I'm going to do. Nobody was doing that. All they were doing was learning. That's what we do all day long. We learn. So I don't want to keep on the subject, but when you if you happen to be involved with, or in your town or city, wherever you are, if you hear this anti-Semitism and you hear this, the Jews are at fault, and you hear this, let's go paint swastikas or let's go demonstrate against the Jews, it's just going to happen. Don't get upset about it. Don't let it put you off your equilibrium and your balance. The stronger you guys make your presence known as part of Israel and coming together with Israel and being with the God of Israel, the stronger the other side's going to react. That's the law of nature. That's how God set up things. In the end, one of you, one of us, somebody's going to do one little tiny thing on this earth, and all of a sudden this scale's going to tip, boom, the other way, where whatever is bad is all going to be gone. And that's the day the Messiah is going to be amongst us, and we're going to know it. And to be honest, a lot of Israel, the Jews, were hoping that this past Passover, because of the way things were, the reenactment of the original Passover Seder was going on, that we were going to wake up to a whole new world in the morning. There were a whole lot of disappointed people in the world the morning after Passover Seder. Really, really disappointed. They really figured this is the time. Everything just lined up like it did back in the Exodus from Egypt. And people really, really thought it was the time. I'm one of these guys that's, okay, we'll see. I don't like to put all my emotions like that into one place and then be disappointed. So I just wait patiently for God. I don't try to tell him when to do it or why he has to do it. That's his business. Meanwhile, I see you guys, I see the Noahides. I see the Noahides, and you're walking closer and closer with the God of Israel, and you're becoming part of Israel. And Israel is growing and growing and growing the way it's supposed to do originally. And we have two groups of people becoming one group of people, and that doesn't mean you have to convert. It just means we're walking together with the God of Israel under his wings, and everything under his wings is Israel. And it doesn't make any difference if you're Jew or you're not a Jew. What makes the difference is you have to know him and understand who he is and connect with him. The earth is his, not ours, not anybody else's. And we're part of the group of people living in it, and excuse me, I didn't bring any water with me. I see. We're having a little dust up in the air. We thought that summer had come. Temperatures dropped, and there's some sandstorms building up coming. And about 6-7 hours ago, the first fronts of it are starting to come through. As it gets closer, you feel it in your tongue and in your teeth. A little gritty stuff. That's what you get for living in a desert. So, enough said. Anybody have any questions about anything I've said, or anybody want to add anything to what I've said? We have a great group this evening. I didn't say hi to Terry, my co-host, and I see Scotty's there, and Muella, David, Tony, Thomas, Diana, good to see you. Chrissy and Devorah, Veronica, and Blaine Clark. Just one quick question. Diana, are you the Diana that's been talking to Shira? Or she said she has somebody named Diana she was talking to. I didn't know if that was you or not. Anyway, anybody have anything they want to comment or say about this, or a question that's in the room right now? Okay.
Well, I'll take a stab.
Okay, go ahead.
We know part of the prophecy is that the nations that come against Israel will be brought and be dealt with. And maybe, capital M, we're beginning to see this formation of the nations again in our lifetime that's turning against Israel. That, was it Tehillim, Psalms 40, is it 46, where basically God tells them to stop and know me, you know, and a lot of people make cute little, sayings, be still and know God and all that. And when you read everything in context, he's upset with what the nations are doing against Israel. And there's going to come a time that he's going to step in on that, and he's going to take care of those matters. Maybe we are in the, the beginning wave of that forming.
I actually agree with you. That we are, one of my friends the other day, he lives in Philadelphia. He says to me, we're hearing the footsteps of the Messiah. He's going to be in front of us in no time. A lot of guys put it, we're in the birth pangs of his birth. The Messiah has always been with us, by the way. In every generation, someone is there that could be, God could say, okay, you're it. It's a little complicated how this happens, and I don't want to go into all that right now, but he's this close to us right now. And what is God waiting for? Why doesn't he just say, let's do it? We don't know. We have no idea. We do know this, that what's going to happen is when the time comes, we're just going on to the next level of life. We're done with all this nonsense. We're done with all these people thinking that because they think something, it means something. So what God thinks means something. We're done with this bigotry and the jealousy and the hatred, and we move on to the next level of life. And that's what we just have to prepare ourselves for, to make that step and just have total trust that Hashem, that God knows exactly what's going on. Nothing surprises him, nothing we do, and that he has everything planned to go forward. Now, to a lot of calculations, it's another 220 years away. Who knows? Could be right. At the year 6,000 is the crossover. If we haven't lost track of a year here or there in the 6,000 years, 5,780 years. But right now, we're living here and now. We have to live in the moment we're in right now. What's happened has happened. It's gone. What's going to happen in the future is going to happen. God's in control. And we're living in the moment. So by being in the moment, that means do today what you need to do today. Be happy with it. Be happy with life. Live it joyfully. Serve God in joy. Not as some kind of requirement that he's forcing you to do, but be joyful about it. And every minute that goes by on the clock, live it that way. And the time between now and when we wake up on the other side will be very short because we won't feel like it. Hey, one of our traits as a human being, we can slow time down or we can speed it up. What do I mean? Go sit in a lecture for 2 hours you have to listen to. That 2 hours becomes 14 days. Go out and have a good time at the beach or sitting down in front of a 2-hour movie that you really love. What do you mean it's over already? We just sat down. So we control time. So if we do it in joy and we understand that just every moment right now is just precious to us, let's just walk through it, then it just goes through and we enjoy every minute and it goes quickly. It really does. Anybody else? Dan, did you want to say something? I saw your picture flash up there.
Yeah, I believe that Terry had pointed out, was it Psalm 46? Do you mind if I read that real quick, or at least part of it?
Please.
I pulled it up and I'm reading in an edition online. So, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, will we not fear, though the earth do change, and though the mountains be moved into the heart of the seas, though the waters thereof roar and foam, though the mountains shake at the swelling thereof. There is a river, the streams whereof make me glad, the city of God, the holiest dwelling place of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her at the approach of morning. Nations were in tumult, kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, and the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our high tower. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who hath made desolations in the earth. He makes wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear asunder. He burns the chariots in fire. Let be and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our high tower.
Amen.
Beautiful. I think that's the chapter that Terry had pointed out, but I think it really points to a lot of what you were saying about stuff that goes on. Those that are definitely of the mindset of anti-Semitism, they're missing a point, and they're definitely missing what's going on in there. I mean, especially where it said, behold, the works of the Lord, who hath made desolations in the earth. And you think about it, these things that are going on, we know Hashem is in control, but he's going to make it all to cease. And he's dealing with Israel, or he's causing us to focus and learn. And I just enjoy hearing of the depth of the root of the morals and ethics that Hashem has raised the nation of Israel with. And I just know that it plays a major factor for the rest of the world to adopt wise means of function. And I find that the Sheva Mitzvot are just so awesome in that regard. So I don't know if you guys wanted to elaborate on that. I think was that the chapter you were talking about, Terry, Psalm 46?
Yes.
Good. That's good. And thank you, Dan, for taking the trouble to look that up and read it, because you know what? When I hear that, it actually lifts my heart. It actually makes me feel good. It's the reassurance that we're in the right path, and God is with us all, and he looks at us as one unit. He doesn't say, oh, they're the Jews and they're the other people. No, we're one unit. We're Israel. The God of Jacob, the God of Israel, is our God. We're one people united. We have different jobs to do. Okay. That's life. But we're one. And when anybody wanders off in their teachings, when anybody thinks that they can decide what God has said because they've been on this planet 40, 50, or 60 years and doesn't bother looking at all the commentaries, all the texts put together of what has been learned over 3,300 years, then what happens? A virus gets out of the lab and it's destructive. It's a mental virus. It's a thought that can be as destructive as what happened out of Wuhan. It's just as deadly. Because God has told us, both the Jew and the righteous amongst us, hey, you either walk my way or you don't come with me. He was very explicit about that in more than one case. I gave you a free choice. Choose life or choose death. Go ahead, Terry.
I want to read the last few verses again of that passage. I'm reading from Tehillim Esratzon from Feldheim. We're talking about earlier, you were talking about so many of the Noahides are like blocking the Jews, turning them away, wanting to do their own thing. I just keep finding how untrue that is for the true righteous of the nations. And I don't mean to say that in a negative way, because it's again, I see that again right here. Verse 11 of Psalms 46. Be still and know that I am God. What do we talk about that as a statute? The first thing we are to do, the part of the element of the prohibition of idolatry is to know God. It's not a commandment, but it's a decree. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted upon the earth. You can't separate him from his words that he's given us, his sayings. The eternal one of hosts is with us. A stronghold for us is the God of Yaakov, or the God of Israel. You can't separate. If we're going to be a part of him, you got to be a part of Israel. You can't separate you can't separate the Creator from Israel. You can't. There's too much evidence to the contrary of what these people are doing, and in my understanding.
Terry, this is the way everybody understands it, that is studied and learned what God wants from us. Yes. It's not like, no, I don't want to get into negativity, but this is the truth. What you're saying is the truth. And when you hear somebody say something different, you have to stop and think a minute. If you have a teacher that's talking bad about other teachers, or you have someone trying to tell you, yeah, but, and you've all heard it, yeah, but. And as you guys were some of you were in Christianity quite a bit of your life, you heard it preached from the pulpit every single Sunday against Israel. Now, no, it's not. We're just reading what the Bible says. Well, you're reading what their interpretation is of what it says. They're not saying, because they never really studied what it truly says. Be careful. Be careful as you make friends, as people want to join with you, people want to learn from you. Don't allow this little thing to creep in. Now, you talked about the introduction to the book or the PDF, and it talked about was it the Greeks that said that the government, where they started with the democracy and the government is for the people and the people elect the government. Was that the Greeks or the Romans you were there? the Greeks, right?
Hold on, my mic was off. Yes, it was Greek philosophy.
Okay.
What,
Well, today it's called humanitarianism.
right. But what I was bringing up, because we were talking about maybe a future study, what I was seeing here is that, majority of us are from that Western, line of teaching. Let the people do as they choose, the democracy issue. And it goes on down. And for Judaism, it's just, according to the Jewish tradition, neither God nor human beings are at the center of the universe, but rather the dialogue between them, where the people serve as partners with God in perfecting his creation. And I think that would be a good teaching, because I think we still carry this baggage of our Greek philosophy, though we think we've gotten rid of, but the attitude of what the Greeks have developed in our nation versus the being in partnership with God versus God is peripheral.
Right.
I think sometimes we still know how to still see God in a peripheral mindset and not join together in partnership. And we join together in partnership with God through joining together in partnership with Israel.
And by doing that, God and Israel, God and the Jewish people and all the other people that are righteous in the nations, we become one unit. We're not separate. We become one unit. A singularity, I think they call it on the Enterprise. I'm trying to remember that guy that used to come out of the singularity every once in a while and change things around. We're all just, huh?
Q.
Q, that's it.
He stands for question.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that, but yeah, he was a big question.
Right. But we're all of creation is just one big one. And we're a part of it. We're not separate from it. You can't exist separate from God. But some people don't like to hear that. What do you mean? I'm me, and I can think, and I can do this, and I can do that. That's right, because God made you that way. Use it right. So anyway, I don't like to get off on topics like this, but it's relevant in the moment topic right this minute. How do I know it's in the moment? I've been inside my doors for 7 weeks now. I'll go out for a half an hour, 45 minutes. I run up to the store. I'll buy some groceries, bring them down. I go up whenever to get fresh produce in, bring it into the house. Don't go, no parks, no walking on Main Street. Here, this is a town where you go out to do a 15-minute errand on Main Street and you spend 2 hours because every 3 steps you meet somebody else you saw them yesterday, but okay, what's new today? You're constantly interacting with people, and it's missed. Even the sunlight is missed. We don't have a porch. We don't have a patio. Shira goes and sits in front of the building of our condo, right up down the stairs, half a flight down, and she'll sit out there and read. I don't even do that because the government keeps telling me, because of my age and because of some other factors, maybe I'm in the high risk group. They tell everybody over 65 in Israel, don't go outside. You need something, get it delivered. You need something, call your, in America, I think 911. Here we have 100 is direct line to the police department. 106 is the helpline. You need anything, you call 106, they deliver it to your door, including medicines. If you're over 65, they'll send you need a doctor, they'll send them to your house. Stay inside. Shira was supposed to go to the States. I think it was in June, July, somewhere in there, for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks to visit her kids and grandkids. Of course, that's blown out the window. We have no idea when she's going to go next time. and she really wants to go see her kids, but she can't do it right now because we just have to stay inside, and who knows what's going to be with plane flights. But there's no point us sitting around going, oh my goodness, oh, there's no airplanes. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? There's no this, there's no that. It's the moment we live in. Live it. And live it with the best attitude you possibly can. And enjoy that moment. And enjoy the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. Don't let it pull you down. Don't let it make you depressed. Don't let it make you nervous because you got all this pent-up energy. Don't let your kids get on your nerves. Don't let your husband get on your nerves. Don't let your pets get on your nerves. Don't let your wives get on your nerves. Because you know what happens? You know what you're succumbing to when that happens? You're succumbing to your ego. You're allowing that animal part of you to raise up. If you've ever seen a pack animals feed, and they have a hierarchy, who can eat and when. But if somebody tries to break it, even though they're kids, even though they're husband and wives, they'll yell at each other. Because, hey, that's mine right now. I'm eating. When I'm done, you can eat. Animal behavior. It takes work. Believe me, it takes work, especially to be close. A friend of Shira's called her this evening as we were going to sleep, very upset. And her and her husband had a little bit of a problem. And they were really angry with each other. And so she helped her vent. Shira let her vent out so she'll feel better. You need to not get yourself to the point where you really got to vent. Because if you vent on each other, husband and wife, you usually end up saying things you shouldn't have said. And that comes from your ego, comes from your animal instinct, which is one of the things that all of us are trying to control so that we can live the life that is deserving of Psalm 46. Believe me, if you live the life, enjoying the moment, living with God, understanding that everything you do. How many people today use this phrase? Boy, what a coincidence this happened. Probably almost everybody in the room are, I don't know how it happened, but it just happened. Or I saw this, or I found that. Today, you've used that phrase. But there's no such thing as oh, what a coincidence. There's no such thing as it just happened. There's no such thing as an accident even. Everything. Every single thing is divine providence. We call it Ashkaha Pratit. There's God watching over you. No matter what happens, because all of it has good in it. You're going to see the good that's going to come out of what's going on in the world today now. You can go on the internet and you can see right now the pollution over the cities in the world. There was a city, I think, in India, one of their cities, this morning when they woke up, people were outside taking pictures of Mount Everest, 100 miles away. They hadn't seen it in years because of the smog. Look at the pictures of Los Angeles, or look at the pictures of Beijing, or look at the pictures of some of these big cities that were just, even where in India, that city where the, what do they call it, the big temple thing? I can't remember what it's called. Places are clearing up. People are seeing things that are so much clearly. And the people that have these autoimmune problems, people have asthma, people have breathing difficulties, all of a sudden they can breathe better. All of a sudden they feel like, wow, what happened? That's because what's going on? We turned off the motors.
Just a thought from what you just said, which I've seen an article about this is the first time they've seen the Himalayas in 30 years.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The pollution has gone. We've looked at this coronavirus as a negative. What if Hashem is trying to give us something through this?
Okay, let's make sure.
We've not had in our generation.
Well, it's okay to say that, but let's make sure we understand all.
I'm not saying it's the way it always is, but it seems like there is a lot of negative going on, but there's some positive that's happening from this as well.
You're absolutely right. But we got to, because of the way we were brought up to think, we have to be very clear about what you're saying right now. God didn't put this coronavirus on us because we were bad people to give us clean air. He allowed us to do this thing because we're partners with him in creation, and he turned us loose on this earth to do whatever we wanted, make a decision, life or death. If the coronavirus is a result of us doing that, he allowed it to happen, and he's going to use it to his advantage. But he's not going to put a coronavirus on us because he wants to slap us around and say, look, I'm God, and you're going to have better air quality or something. That's the other way of thinking. He's not a punishing God like that. He wouldn't kill millions of people. He wouldn't make all the world uncomfortable if they can't fly and stuff. He just doesn't do that. He's a loving God. He's not vengeful. We're the ones to do it, and he then turns it around and uses it for good to help us. That's just the way it is. By the way, since this came up, there's something new going on in the world and it's easier to happen right now today because of the air pollution going away. You know, there's a problem with bees. Bees are dying all over the world. Bees are so important to the world system because they pollinate everything. The wildflowers, they pollinate the apples, the oranges, the tangerines. They pollinate everything, the dates. Israel developed a technology to use a drone to do what the bees have always done, because the bees are unfortunately dying. Hopefully they'll make a comeback. But it's starting to be used now, and I forget what country, but they're pollinating the date orchards. I guess they're called orchards. They're trees and they grow with fruit on them, so I guess they're called or date farms, whatever. They're using it to pollinate these huge areas. In China, for years now, they've been using people to pollinate their apple orchards and all that. Right, humans may do it for bad, but God turns it around for good. That's right. I'm sorry, I don't always read that side. I'm so busy thinking that I'm not getting over there. So I hope somebody's watching. If I miss something, let me know. The point is, we're not bad. Human beings are not bad either. We're a pretty neat creation that God created for good. And he decided to make us partners in his creation. I mean, that's a pretty high honor. The creator of all things says to us, hey, I got us this far. I got us through the 6 days. Now it's your turn. Take over. Finish creation. Oh, and by the way, build me a place where I can connect the earth down there. So my essence, we can be together. You can feel me there and I can feel you there. That's our job. Our job is to take care of his garden. Our job is to make a place suitable for him to be with us, a place where there'll be no darkness. I mean, not physical darkness, not mental darkness, not any kind of darkness. It'll be light all the time. He will bring that light to us. We're getting it burning, each one of us, one little flame at a time. Where we are at that moment in our lives and in the world, we're pushing back the darkness just by lighting a little flame. And when we get together right now, on this screen that I see in the Zoom room, there's 3, 6, 9, 12 people here. That's not a little flame. It's starting to be like a bigger flame. The concentration is more, so that it pushes more darkness. You don't have to defeat darkness. You don't have to fight it. You just have to light a flame. There, okay. Just gotta go like this. Like that. Now, my window is open, so it's blowing out the flame. All you need, can you see? There we go. That little flame, and you guys each light one, it pushes back more darkness. And how much work did I do to light this flame? Okay. Well, don't even have to rub sticks together. This is all you have to do in your heart and in your mind. Just turn it on. Ramp it up a little bit. God takes care of the rest because we're partners. We are actually partners. Wow. How does it make you feel to know that God's your partner? Makes me feel pretty darn good. It makes me know that even if I do something, there you go, Tony. Even if you do something that he's not going to like, you can turn around and say, well, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And he says, okay, don't do it again. You learn something from it, move forward. We don't have some goofy eternal punishment waiting for us. He's our Father. He's our King. He's our partner. And he loves us. And it's just real, to me, it's simple. And I love in the morning when I wake up, and I thank him every day for putting the soul back in the part of me that's me back in my body so I can have another day on this earth. And I've had quite a few of them, and I'm looking forward to quite a few more. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It's fun. And talking to you people to me is fun. Meeting new people is fun. Everything is just, when I say fun, it's not like at the amusement park, right? It's enjoyable. It's greatly enjoyable. It's not like these thrill rides at the amusement park that ramps up your emotions for 33 seconds and then you're off of it and say, wow, wasn't that cool? No, it's a permanent enjoyment of life. And it's yours. God wants you to have it. I mean, I'm not saying be like the Buddhists. They say, oh, go sit. Life is a stream of water that goes by. Go sit on the bank and watch it because you can't do anything about it. I mean, to me, that's God made us his most powerful creation and we can do nothing. Come on. I don't go in for that. But that's just me. Okay, anybody have anything else they want to say or bring up or talk about today? I know this is kind of a weird meeting this week, and we've just kind of rambled around and hit some things, but I felt instead of sticking to okay, what are we going to learn this week about in the Word, I figure it's time we open our eyes and learn also what's going on around us like this. And to be able to look around and understand and not be so uptight about it, not be so, you know. I mean, now what's the big thing now? The vaccinations. Oh, when they give you the vaccination, they're also going to give you some kind of chip. And oh, they're going to make sure the vaccination makes a mark on your arm. So that's your ID. Everybody sees you. We're vaccinated for this. And everybody's worried about all the wrong things. All the wrong things. I will say one thing, what's going to come out of this is not going to be a vaccination, it's going to be a cure. It's going to be a cure for more than just the coronavirus. There's 2 companies here in Israel, and I know there's at least 2 in America that had started working on these things like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. When you vaccinate someone, you're taking part of the illness and putting it in their body and letting their autoimmune system build up the antibodies. But if you have a problem with your own immune system, it can also damage you. I mean, it's just scientific fact. Most people it will not, but some people it will. And so these research companies decided, well, what if we built, as long as we're building something, what if we built something that when these strange things came into the body, it kind of woke up the body, and it acted as a first line of defense against these things, so the body's autoimmune system didn't have to get involved in it. They're working on it for cancer. It's a certain thing that attaches itself. As soon as it spots a cancer cell, it attaches itself to the cancer cell, like smothers it. So you don't have to have radiation and all this other stuff we've been using for years that actually kills people. That's the radiation is just a vaccination for cancer that is stronger than the one you get shot, you know. They're developing these systems. We have the technology, we have the knowledge, we just have to put it together in the proper way. Now, when that system goes in the body, your body can work on other things and keeping you healthier and repairing you better, while this, and it's not nanotech, not nanochips. I don't know what it is, but it's not nanochips. It's something I don't understand at all. But I think it's pretty cool that we can do that God gave us the head here to be able to do something like that. Yeah. Now, back to it's coming up Independence Day here in Israel. And I don't have the exact date on the secular calendar. I forgot to look it up before I came in here. But we always have a good time on Independence Day, just like in the USA. Every city has its fireworks display. And depending on where you live in Israel, you can see 3 or 4 or 5 fireworks displays just sitting outside. When we lived in Haifa, or up between Haifa and Akko on the sea, we were looking down at Mount Carmel. All the different cities had their fireworks displays. So you see the cities on Mount Carmel, and they stagger the times they do it out. So this part of Mount Carmel's got fireworks on it, then this part over here, then this part over here. And it goes on for quite a while. And it's pretty cool. And then you go up on your roof and look at the city back in the back behind you. Here's 2 or 3 more firework displays. It went on for like a half an hour, 45 minutes when we're down there by the coast. Up here, I don't know. I know that we're going to have one here because we live on a mountain. The ones on the other side of the mountain will have to be seeing something else. The ones on this side of the mountain will be seeing something else. But it's always a good time, and people go out and get together. We're on lockdown for this year's Independence Day. Everything is going to be done over the internet. Even the fireworks displays, they're going to set them off, but they're going to have one central huge fireworks display, and all the movie cameras, TV cameras will be on it and on the internet, and we'll be able to watch from there. So everything's a little bit unusual, but it's an experience, and it's going to be a fun experience. And we don't look at what we're not having, but we're looking at what we do have. And we say in our prayers a couple times a day, God points at his creation. He gives them everything they need. It actually says God points at his creation and he gives them everything they need. It says at least 3 times in morning prayers. Maybe it's twice in the afternoon. But the point is, that's his promise to us. He promises you enjoy life. I'm giving you everything you need. Now, notice he didn't say want, he says need. But we're pretty lucky. We have roofs over our heads. We have some food in the refrigerator. Maybe not as much as we want, but it's enough for us to eat. We have, never hear that thing, if you have spare change on your dresser, a little bit of food in the refrigerator, a roof over your head, and a bed to sleep in, you're better off than about 90-some% of the world. I never believed it was 90%, but I know it's a lot of the world. We're better off than. Our problem is that we get involved with what we want, not what we need. Right now, in the moment where you're sitting, right now, you're drinking a cup of coffee, you're listening to us, tell me how unhappy you are. Somebody tell me how unhappy they are? We're sitting here together. We're part of a one. We're brothers and sisters. We're together in a family. We can sit and talk and relax and enjoy each other's company. So how unhappy are you? And some of you are eating while you're watching. Some of you are drinking coffee. Some of you just sitting there enjoying it. So it's just, you're getting everything you need. When we try to put our wants, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I used to be that way. I used to set my goal every year, how much money I wanted to earn every year. And then I just went after it like a mad dog. I was, in sales, and everything I did was on commission. I didn't worry about the hours I worked, only how many sales I could make. And there were times in my life, in 1 month, I'd make enough income to cover 3 or 4 months' bills. And I said, whoa, I can take a breath next month, But basically, I've always had from God what I need. Even when I stopped running around being like that, things have always been covered. Our biggest problem is once we have something and get used to it, we hate to lose it. Why do people go to vacations to go to 5-star hotels with the flowers on the bed at night and the little chocolates on the bed and all this beautiful luxury? People get used to it and they want it, and then they go home and they want it at home. And we start wanting something that we don't need. And it makes us a different person. The only thing that we all need is God, because he takes care of everything for us, and he will help us walk through life in a proper way if we allow him to. Okay, I think I've just preached enough tonight about that kind of stuff. I had to get it out. I wanted you guys to be prepared for what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks as far as the wave of anti-Semitism. You're going to hear it from people that call themselves Noahides. They're fibbing to themselves, because once they separate from Israel, once they decide they don't want to learn from Israel, they're not part of what God set up as the oneness. When there's separation, there's no oneness. I know it sounds like kind of lovey-dovey, love your brother, all that kind of stuff, but what is simply the truth? It's just simply truth. Anybody have questions or comments or anything about any of that?
Emwella posted something, if you don't mind if I read what she wrote.
Go ahead.
Is it okay, Emwella, if I read what you wrote? She says, I used to be afraid of change, but now I find it exciting and fun, seeing God's fingerprints in every new day and new moments.
That is life. That is life. What are all of us afraid of is change. Oh, I'm so comfortable. Everything's going so good. I don't want anything to change. I want to stay just like it is now. What you just said here is the whole thing of living in the moment. Living with allowing God to do the things that he needs to do with you and with everybody else. I'm going to read it again, Terry.
Emwella wrote, I used to be afraid of change, but now I find it exciting and fun, seeing God's fingerprints in every new day and new moment.
What an exciting way to live in every moment. That it's just amazing what it is. And that's get you through. That's when a week feels like a week and a day feels like a day, and 1 month doesn't feel like 4 months, like some people are putting up on the internet now. I just want to relate to the question that Veronica is talking about. Yes, there are a few specific places, Veronica, but it's not my place to talk about them. My place is to warn that they're out there. Just be alert for them. Now, the question is, there's a specific group of Noahides that are doing this. Yes, but you can make yourself aware just by listening. See, here's one of the things. Why do I say it that way? There's a certain thing called lashon hara, or the bad tongue. Most people think it means talking bad about somebody, but that's not what it means. Talking bad about somebody is slander. That's lying. That's different. Bad tongue is speaking the truth about somebody to make yourself look better in somebody's eyes. So it's in other words, I can tell the truth about somebody, but what am I doing really? I have to search my heart. Am I just doing it to tell people I'm better than these other people? And so it's a very, very, it's a cautious thing to walk. But if you make somebody aware that it exists, just like somebody put up a warning on Facebook the other day, wherever they live, it's snake season. The baby snakes are coming out, however they come out, eggs or live births or whatever. Watch where you put your foot. So you're looking now. Okay, now I'm paying attention where I put my foot so I don't get bit. It happens to us during scorpion season here. Everybody knows when it is. Everybody knows you got to be careful. If you live on a ground floor place, you really, in the morning when you slip your feet into your shoes, you really should just slip your feet in. You should just shake the shoe and drop it out. So here's the way it works. Let me tell you the way it works. That if you tell me I'm going up to XYZ store to buy some stuff, and I know XYZ store, they're a little out of control with their prices, and you get the same thing at ABC store, I'm allowed to tell you that in a very positive way. Not don't go into this other place, the prices are too high. I know a place where you can buy the same thing for less money. Maybe you want to go there. I'm telling the truth. I'm not putting anybody down, and I'm just being honest. Maybe somebody comes to me and says, I'm going to use Attorney Smith to get some work done that I need done. I can say, you know what? I've used Attorney Smith before, but I decided to use Attorney Jones. I think he does a little bit better job. That you're allowed to say. If there's something really specific like that, but just to come out, this is why I say to everybody all the time, if you're in a teaching group, if you're in any kind of, I don't care if you're learning from a rabbi or whoever you're learning from, if they are telling you, stay away from this guy, stay away from this guy, and this guy really isn't, as soon as he starts knocking other rabbis or other people at all, just be done with them. You will not hear the true teachers do that. Nobody has to knock somebody down to make themselves feel better. So what is the agenda that makes them undesirable? Well, yeah. If they don't have at least some type of oversight, but they should have an active participant in the group that is a teacher and a Jewish teacher. Look, the whole idea that the very last, or the second to last on the list of most lists of the 7 Noahide mitzvot is set up courts of justice. Why? Wait a minute. Don't we have enough set up already? Every country we live in has a set up. The Jews have the Sanhedrin and the rabbis. What do we get? Need another court of justice? Of course. The Noahides don't have to come to a Jew or even to a rabbi and say, should I do this or should I not do that? Because the rabbi is going to give them the answer from the Jewish perspective. The Noahide sages, the Noahide Sanhedrin, the Noahide courts of justice get together, and who are these people? How did it get set up the first time? Jethro said to Moses, what do you make these people stand in line all day? You do this all by yourself. They all got to come and ask you questions. You got to set up captains of tens and of 50s and thousands and 10,000s. And God said, that's right, Moses. Learn something from Jethro. Learn something from the Noahide. And who did he say the people have to be? The people themselves raise up their leaders. There's no Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. You raise up the people that you know and trust. And it comes up all the way up to the top, the Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin for the Noahides. And then when you have a question, it goes up that chain. It goes up right to the Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin for the Noahides. And the Noahides themselves decide. We don't have to tell them what to think. God doesn't tell them what to think. He doesn't want that. He wants them to decide for the Noahides, just like the rabbis decide for the Jews. That's the way he created us. And when that high court of the Noahides say has a problem, they want to verify some things, they can go to the high court of Jews and say, let's sit down and talk about this. What do you guys think about this? They don't come and say, what should we do? They come and ask an opinion. Then they decide what to do in the Noahide community. This is so important. That's why you guys got to become a community. That's why you guys that are in this time, at this time, doing these things, you're going to be the ones that are rising up to be leaders. And hopefully the teachings that you're getting are going to do that. Now, back to your question, people you should be aware of. You will develop a radar for this. By the words somebody chooses to use, how he speaks them. Right now, if you were to pick up a Christian article talking about something Christian, but it doesn't want to say it is, and it starts out, you can read the first couple of pages, and right away your radar is going to go off. You're going to feel it. You're going to know that this person is trying to get something across, but he's trying to not be upfront about who he is. You're going to know the people when you hear them talk. They're going to be doomsday people. They're going to be people that well, I don't have to go get advice from the rabbis. I don't have to learn this. I've read it all myself. I know what it says. I'll tell you what it says. A lot of these people you guys know from home groups, from churches. It's my house, I'm in charge. You don't like it, go to a different home group. Those are people that you need to, that type of person. And when Shira discovered this, we sat down and talked about it, and it comes up all the time when things happen. That she was this home group or this church, and this leader did this, and this leader did that, and she's now also becoming very clear to me that it was to keep me away from my true relationship with God. What the person wanted was power and control. Now, it's okay for me to talk about it like this, like I'm talking about some kind of something that you got to watch out for. Don't get caught by. And one of the things that needs to be done, and I'm just going to say it flat out, it's great. Facebook's great. Oh boy, I'm going to open a Facebook page and I'm going to put up a new Noahide group, and I'll put a new this group, put a new that group, and then everybody runs around getting everybody to sign up for it. That's not what it's about. There's supposed to be unity. And every time somebody opens a new Facebook and points people, tries to attract some attention, see how many people they can get as members of your Facebook page, it's like opening up a new church group. Now, there's an exception to this. Listen carefully. If you live in an area and you want to use this like a bulletin board, an attention getter to get people together, because there's other people right around where you live that think the same way you do, and you post it on other local pages, you can get it posted on the city page, you can get it posted on some of the other local group pages, So local people start seeing, who cares if somebody in Timbuktu sees it if you live in Arizona or you live in Washington State? Because all these guys down in Africa or over in Asia are my friends, I'm doing something. I want people, my next door neighbors, I want people right here with me here to become part of this group. Call it evangelizing if you want, but that's what Abraham did. So when you open up something and you want to get people to join it, you focus on the area you live in. They all have little local papers that are given out every week at the supermarket. They have local bulletin boards you can put stuff on the internet. They have groups on the internet you can put stuff on. That is good because you're bringing people together. But if you're just opening up some, okay, here's another Noahide thing. And some people are doing that. Some people, every time you send something for them to post, it has to go through an approval method. Now, I understand why some of them do it, and others, they're just doing to control what you guys are seeing on their particular website. Actually, on B'nai Noach Connection with Israel, we're a little bit, we put up things that are about the B'nai Noach, but we don't start putting everybody and their brother's teachings up there. They've got their places, they can teach. We don't want people to get confused by, because this guy says this and this guy says that. So we're more of a community page. And you'll notice that. We're not pushing anybody in particular. We are hooked up with the Noahide World Center. And we made a decision to do that because of good things that happened and how the rabbi, the main rabbi is heading it up. He has good references from, not Rabbi Goldberg, I'm talking about Rabbi Shirky. Of course, Rabbi Goldberg has good references, but he's not the main guy. The main guy is Rabbi Shirky, and all the top rabbis have given him recommendation letters for his group and what a great job he's doing, and how they even have, we call them approbations for all his writings. They've read them. They've given him their stamp of approval. It's one of the big things we do as Jews. We don't just publish a book and throw it up on the internet. Well, some of us do. But if you want somebody to take it seriously, you get what's called approbation and a letter of approval from high up rabbinical people and government people. It took me years to find out where to connect, and I'm so glad I did. And it's helping everybody, I believe, is coming in contact with Noahide World Center. And I did it not because Noahide World Center had the same political outlook that I have, because I don't care about politics. Their goal is, the actual goal is the same. Let's get everybody involved. Let's get communities going. Let them run themselves. Here's the stuff they can learn. And they can use us to come back to learn, and also to run ideas by and things like that. So that's the whole reason we exist. We're not here to say this is the party line and this is what you got to toe. You got to walk the party line, or nope, no good. And our opinion is different from this opinion over there. And I'll be quite honest with you, I've tried to get 2 or 3 of the biggest and strongest Noahide organizations together in Jerusalem to come together under one umbrella. Even with that, it's a little hard. It's a little hard. Everybody wants their thing. Everybody wants their corner. They want to control their little corner. Except Noahide World Center. I mean, amazing. So you guys are reading, you're probably going to be seeing some stuff coming out published, that when I went to and hooked up with Rabbi Goldberg and we started talking about things, I started making suggestions about how maybe it'll change this wording here and that wording there. For Americans, the next day they were changed in their publications, on their websites. I remember when people came to me and say they saw so-and-so on this website. There was a link to so-and-so's thing. They're all gone. I think the website's totally been reworked. They've given me the freedom to go in and rework it myself, but I don't have time for that. I just suggested them what to do. It's a thriving organization that is there for one purpose: to get you guys to hook together with the God of Israel and to get you guys to run your lives the way the God of Israel wants you to run it. We're just passing information. Do it, don't do it. The prayer books they're writing, everything that's being done. The Shulchan Aruch, which will be out shortly in about 8 languages, actually. They want to get it all out at one time, essentially, instead of doing this language, then this language, and this language. And how many people have had proofread it and look at it and go over it and get information? This isn't one of those things like, okay, I like the way they're talking, and I like what they're saying, and I don't like this guy over here because he's not saying it exactly the way I want to hear it. It's not what it is. Terry, when I first met him, I knew he had the secret to the whole thing. I'm sorry, Terry, got to say it. The reason he didn't convert was because he was going to stay who he was, the person that God made him. Simple. Although for a time he didn't. He thought, no, we're going to convert. You all know, most of you know Terry's story. You want to hear more? Ask him. He'll tell you about it. He has no problem with that. The point is, we're all just supposed to be the person that God created us to be. I'm supposed to be Pesach Sherbow, the Jew that lives in Sfat, and the teacher that lives in Sfat. Terry's supposed to be Terry. Amuela's Amuela. David's David. Scotty's Scotty. Thomas is Thomas, and everybody else. You don't have to be anybody else. That's all God wants you to be, is who you are. And that's all he asks of you, nothing more. Sometimes we give him a lot less, but that's what he's asking for you. And that's all we want you to do, is help you be who you are in your relationship with the God of Israel, the God of Jacob. Believe me, we've been through enough with him over the last 4,000 years. We've made the mistakes. We got enough studies and teaching stuff to share with you guys, and it's all online. Anybody can get it. But that's one of the problems. People learn it without having a true teacher. So you can't intellectually just learn it and think you know it and can explain it to somebody. I ask you with all my heart, the minute that you hear someone putting somebody else down, another teacher, to make that himself be better, or, well, that's stupid the way the sages said it, should be doing it this way, or, no, that's not really what it is, it's another way, or the Jews are hiding something. And the person could even be Jewish, I don't know. Walk away from those people. That they're just trying to get you to a point where they want to control you, obviously, but it's not going to do nothing but give you an upset stomach and a headache. In the end, being with those people, you don't have to go through all that stuff. Now, Veronica, I tried to say it without saying anything about any particular group, but I gave enough examples that you should be able to, next time you go to a group or go someplace and you go to someplace new, have your own filter in place. I remember when Cher was doing the conversions in the beginning, and she had a question she wanted, and I told her, just go Google it. I always wanted her to Google it first, and then she'd come to me and say, I got all this information. I said, who'd you get it from? Well, this website on Google. And I said, what's the name of the website? Oh, yeah, well, who's behind the website? Does it tell you who's behind the website, who's pushing the website, or they hide that? That, unfortunately, today, and I think we talked about it the other day, Terry, that you Google something and you come up with so much imitation stuff, right? What were we talking about that the other day?
That I discovered that Rabbi Google is a messianic.
There you go. There you go.
I Googled something the other day. I just use it a lot of times. I'm like, oh, I know a passage, it's somewhere, but I couldn't remember the exact reference. So a lot of times I'll type in some wording that I know is there, and then all this other stuff comes up that's from sources I know that's not correct. And so I'm sitting here looking at that, and I'm going, I asked the rabbi questions, and the answers are not where they need to be. So he must be a messianic.
I learned about Dr. Google the first time I had a serious illness problem, and I typed it in. And after about 10 minutes, I wheeled my chair back. I said, hon, help me up. I'm dying. Help me up. I've got all these diseases. Rabbi Google, Dr. Google, tell you a whole lot of things. Beware where it sends you, though. Before you read anything on a website, know who the website is. Just who put it together? Who are they? I'm going to mention one website just for the heck of it, because I think everybody knows. It's called Psalm 118. I think that's the name of it. They're good foolers. People grab that website and they think as you're coming out of Christianity, you grab onto it because they're telling the truth or something, but they're actually disguised messianics. They aren't who they say they are. Now, is that Lashon Hara? Here, everybody in this room, maybe not everybody knew it, but I know quite a few here knew about that particular website. So there, Veronica, I mentioned one of them.
Can I give a suggestion?
Yeah.
When I know that I'm looking for something specific, there's like a lot of times, because I've, for 7 years I learned, and some of the books I don't have anymore because I don't need them in this particular walk, but there might be a story or two or a point or a principle. So, instead of going to Google, I will go to trusted Orthodox Jewish sites, trusted sites like aish.com, Chabad.org, places like that. And I will actually search them first and see if I can find some information of what I'm looking for that someone has written on a trusted site. And if I can't find anything there, then I'll broaden my search. But that's where I really try to start with trusted Orthodox sites that that we know they're not going to mislead you. And so that's where I generally start, where I've started going first when I'm looking for something I know specific, that I'm wanting to look up and know a little more information on.
Let me give you a shortcut. Whatever question you ask Rabbi Google, if you want to hear Chabad's answer, ask the question, just type in Chabad. You want to know Aish's answer? Ask the question, type Aish. It'll search the Aish website for you, or the Chabad website, or the Breslov website. And right on that page, the first time up, it'll give you all the Chabad links, or all the Aish links.
I mean, it's like I was looking for something the other day that I knew I'd learned about the Baal Shem Tov, and I'm like, I knew a little, some of the wording, and I went to Chabad and went to the search, typed in a few words that I knew, and boom, right there it was, just about 15 articles around that subject, and I was
right. Yeah, Chabad does that, but I'm saying Google will do the same thing for you. If you just, as you ask the question, tell it what website you want to do, like Chabad or Aish or Breslov.
Okay, I see what you're saying. If on Google, type in your question and then type in Chabad or something like that.
Yeah, it'll just go right to, it goes right to the website and just puts on right there everything. You don't have to go to the Chabad website and then search.
I got you.
Google's a better search engine than any website has, actually. If you use it right, it'll get done. Anyway, anybody have anything else you want to bring up or talk about this evening? Rabbi Google's credential, very good. Yes. Yes.
Can I throw something in?
I'm here to catch it. Go ahead.
Okay, here I go. For years I taught some classes. I'm going to say something that's going to be real deep to me. It's probably going to be real shallow to everybody else. But exegetical study under proper hermeneutics still comes out eisegetical vision without proper supervision. Did everybody get that?
No, I have no idea what you said.
Okay. Can I take 5 minutes and explain it?
Go right ahead.
Proper hermeneutics is the study of the text. Exegetical study with the proper hermeneutics is allowing the text to reveal its meaning. Eisegetical study is you've already got a fixed idea of what you want the text to say, and you're going to read it in it no matter what it says. But proper hermeneutics, exegetical study, still comes out eisegetical vision without proper supervision with somebody like you, to where you can say, hey, you might want to look right here. Did I make it plain then?
Without all them other words that you've been saying,
Okay.
yeah.
Clear as mud.
Okay. I told somebody one time, I said, you're just using eisegetical study. And they said, what? I said, yeah, you already know what you wanted to say. And no matter what you Google, no matter what you look, no matter what you look for, no matter what you read, you're going to read your doctrine into it.
Rabbi Singer says you're painting a target and then sticking the arrow where you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. And it's always easy to know what you're looking for after the fact, and you can find something to match it. It's easy as heck to do that. It's easy as heck to fool yourself that, oh, wow, now I got the truth. All you got is your truth, but you don't know if you got the real truth. So I explained to a student this week, and I probably said this before, I'm going to say it again. A man came to a very well-known rabbi and said, Rabbi, I want you to teach me everything I can learn. And Rabbi said, okay, hang on a minute. And he gets up and he gets 2 teacups and sits them on the table, brews a little pot of tea, comes over to the student, and he starts pouring the tea into the student's cup. And he says, looking the student in the eye, and he says, okay, now what does he want me to teach you? You want to learn all this stuff? And the student said, well, this stuff's overflowing. Hold on a minute. It's all over the table with the water, the tea. And so he pulls back the teapot, sets it on the table, and the rabbi says to him, that's lesson number 1. See you next week. The guy came back next week and said, you know, when I left there, I had no idea I just thought you just poured water all over everything. And he started talking, and the rabbi went and prepared tea, brought the teacups to the table. And as he went to pour the tea over to the young man turned his teacup over and says, no, it's empty. It needs to be filled up first. If you got a full head, you can't add anything to it. All you're going to do is debate with people and try to convince them what's in your head is right. The very first step for anybody to learn anything is to empty yourself out. What I think, what I've learned means nothing. I'm going to sit here and take information in. I don't want to match it with what I have in me already. I'm going to look at it like fresh eyes, like I was a little kid, and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I go to my father and say, look. Last time you went to walk with a little kid, they're always looking at the little tiny things moving around. Here's a little bug, here's a little ant. They see it. Do we see it? No, our head's too full of other stuff. You want to be able to look at it, get rid of everything you've learned in the past. I'm not saying get rid of it and throw it out. Just put it over there on a shelf for a while. Take in new information and do not use what you've learned before to judge what you got coming in you now. Yeah, and well, it says, like you said once, don't think. That's what I used to tell people when for years, I traveled to USA. I go twice a year to USA, and I go from giving lectures or sermons or whatever in churches and stuff. And invariably, when I would read a portion of a psalm or a text or a prophecy, some man or woman stand up and says, well, that's not the way I read it. I think it means this, and I think it means that. And I'd look at him and say, just don't think. Listen. And these get angry at me. Shira finally convinced me to change how I'm saying it. She says, everybody thinks all the time. When do you tell somebody don't think? What we mean is, or what I mean, and what the sages mean about not thinking, is simply take it in. Let it go inside of you. Think about it, meditate on it, and look at it from all the different angles to see if maybe it's a little better than what I thought I knew. Instead of trying to judge it and say, no, it's no good. It's not what I was taught. That's not what I learned. That's not what so-and-so over here says. We Jews are good at that, by the way. That's why one of our very strict rules, especially with the way we're supposed to live our life, when we decide to follow a Rebbe, and a Rebbe is a big guy. A Rebbe is a head of a whole bunch of rabbis. Then if we have a question on how we're supposed to do something in the halakha, in the Jewish laws, we have to go to someone that he tells, okay, this person in our group, this person over here is the expert. Go to him. Ask him the question. I can ask him the question, and whatever he tells me, I have to follow. Because God says that's what you have to do. When you've asked your question, you've gotten your decision, just do it. And then a year later, you find out, well, the rabbi over at Breslov says he can do this or that or the other thing. Well, that's true too. If you're following the Breslov, okay, let me explain to you what I mean. At Passover time, Ashkenazim, especially Chabadnik, we don't eat rice, we don't eat peas, we don't eat any kind of legume, I guess it's called, or legum, I don't know. We don't eat that. We consider, it's called kitniot, we consider it part of, if you make something out of it, it can raise up, it can whatever. So we're eating unleavened bread, and so we don't eat that either. The Sephardim, they eat it all. The only thing they do with that is bread itself, or leavened bread. But they will eat rice, they'll eat corn, they'll eat beans, because their rabbis back in the day told them it was okay to do that. Now, does it make me feel bad for that? Do I feel bad towards them? Of course not. They're doing what God said. They're following the instructions of their rabbis. And it doesn't go against Torah. It was a rabbinical thing. As long as it doesn't go against Torah, it's okay. Another quick example is, we all do that. So we've all decided to do that, all the Jews. The milk and meat thing, we don't have milk and cheese together, but we also don't have milk and fish together, and we also don't have milk and poultry together. We decided, the people, if I see somebody eating it, or somebody that is not learned sees somebody eating a dark piece of chicken, like a breast or a thigh with milk, they may think I'm eating meat and milk, and it's okay for them to do it. Something called the way it looks as you do it. So, and of course, it got turned into something really negative in most religions. Do not give the appearance of doing evil, no matter what you're doing. And it's not exactly what it means. The point I'm making is, learn from us. Know that the true teachers that you guys need are the ones that don't have to knock somebody else to make themselves better. They don't have to change things to make you feel better. They have to accept you as who you are, and don't make up new rules and say the sages don't know this and Rashi doesn't know this and Okalis doesn't know that. As soon as they start talking bad about the sages and the people who've written all our glorious literature that you guys are privy to today, because you can look it up on the internet and it's every language today just about, those people are not operating in the proper manner. So if you hear it, listen, perk your ears up. You know, I do it all the time. I mean, coming out of Christianity, most of you have been to lectures with people, and you're sitting there listening to somebody give a lecture or a sermon, and the guy next to you or the woman next to you or whatever saying, "No, I don't think that's true. Man, I don't think the way that guy thinks. Where do you get all that stuff?" A running commentary on everything that is said. There are plenty of people that do that. You don't need that. You need to be smart and intelligent and wise, and it'll certainly help you out. And I think we're running out a whole lot of time here, Dan. What? I didn't hear you say anything. I just kept talking.
It's all good. It's all good, Rabbi. I'm just, sitting back, soaking it up, letting you guys do what you do. And the way I look at it is I'm trying to keep it around the 2-hour range. I think you're about 1 hour and 48 minutes. If you guys want to wind it down, you feel free.
I think that's
works.
what we'll do. I think we'll wind it down. It's coming up on 5 o'clock in the morning for me, and it's getting late for you guys over there, about 10 o'clock. I just want to remind everybody that we, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock, I know it's a little late East Coast time, but at 10 o'clock, we get together and we sit and talk. And if someone has a specific question, we address it. There's a specific Zoom room for that, which is different than this one. This is only for the 8 o'clock classes on Wednesday evening, Eastern Daylight Time.
Yeah, Pesach, how many Zoom rooms are you doing a week? I mean, I know you've been doing at least three others that I'm aware of. And I know your wife does some broadcasts.
Yes. My wife.
A rundown of the week?
Yeah. Well, in public Zoom rooms that I've opened, there's those 3 in the Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday evenings, and then this one on Wednesday evenings, 4. I also have students that I teach, home groups that I go to. We use Zoom now for all of that. If anybody wants to schedule a meeting anywhere in the world, we can do it. We'll set up a time. We'll be there happily in Zoom. If you have a group of people you would like to talk to, like a home group, or you even family that they want to ask questions, we'll be more than happy to do it. My wife and I give counseling to people over Zoom room. We make private appointments, and we don't charge anybody for anything. We do ask that if they can possibly donate a little bit, if possible, and if possible on a regular basis, to help us defray to spend expenses for things. It gets pretty expensive. And plus, neither one of us, I mean, I'm on retirement. Social Security, not a whole lot of money. So we just ask people to help us out if they can. It's not a requirement. If we were teaching actual courses, like leadership courses and stuff like that, we'd probably put a fee on, because it just takes so much time preparing. But don't anybody ever think that you can't contact me anytime except on a Shabbat or a Jewish holiday, 24/7.
I can attest to that. There's been plenty of times I've sent Pesach a message, "Hey, you got 5 minutes?" And pretty much he's never said no. So, I mean, like I said, but I know the times, for Shabbos and stuff, I don't bother him on Fridays and Saturdays. Or if I come up with something on Saturday, I know he'll catch it the next day, after Shabbos, if it's something that's not something I need to know. But if I have something that's not necessarily emergency, but something I really need to talk about, because I don't have anyone, to talk about, at the level I can talk with Pesach, he's always been there. And I've actually even talked with him and his wife, about some stuff, parenting things, for, adult children. I've counseled with them on that. So he's there. They are there. And
Awesome.
what he says is true.
Well, that's awesome, folks. So yeah, you can reach out. Patrick, where can they reach you? I know you got your Torah for the Nations Facebook page. I know you're on YouTube. I know that the B'nai Noah Connection with Israel Facebook group page. I got Terry's personal email. I can always give him a ring-a-ding or chat there. And but all I can say is, where can the audience reach you?
Okay, they can reach me at Pesach Sherbow on Facebook. I'm always there. I mean, that's my Facebook page. My email address is pesach@torahforthenations.org.
Pesach@torahforthenations.org. There you
Yeah.
go, folks. That's his email. Well, we're nearing our 2-minute mark. Do you want to wind it down? Are we good?
We're good, and we want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen in. I thank everybody in the room, as usual, for being here. It's so good to see you. And hopefully, those of you that don't come around during the week, maybe once in a while come in. You can't do it every night. I know that. But
yeah, I think even while Terry was here, it reached as high as 24 people up in the Zoom room. And, we hit double digits live on a steady on YouTube, which is great. But unfortunately, because of the weather conditions here, I wasn't able to broadcast on both Facebook and YouTube because I got to bounce the signal off of Los Angeles, and it gets a little sketchy. And I'd rather have a good quality broadcast because you guys are doing some great stuff. But I know that you're really focusing on community, and that's what being B'nai Noach is all about. It's about Hashem. It's about community. It's about the Sheva Mitzvot, the 7 Noahide laws, understanding what they are. And, we get the occasional Christian wisecrack on there, but as if they don't exist. But I love Terry's comment that he wrote a while back, I think it was about 6 months ago. Which one of the 7 laws do you have a problem with? And he actually just began to say, is it don't murder? You have a problem with not murdering? Anyways, my point is you guys are doing some wonderful stuff, and I know that the crowds are liking it. So are we good for next week for your weekly meeting? Same time next Wednesday?
same time, same place, next Wednesday.
All right, folks. So till then, next Wednesday, you can catch Pesach. You can reach out to them on Torah for the Nations on Facebook, YouTube, and you can email them personally. So have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. They can't hear me. So.
Okay, good. Okay.
Well, bless you guys. I always enjoy sitting in and listening when you guys. You're just real people sharing the real honest truth, and it's just a joy to be around folks like that. So I'm out for now.
Okay. God bless. Look, David, I want to see that dog. Hey, dog. I'm going to tell you why I want to see the dog. Can you get him up so I can see his face? The reason I want to see the dog is I took a nap this afternoon. Or I laid down earlier this evening to take a nap. And she says, "You're laughing." I'm sleeping. She says, "You're laughing." And I said, "You know what? This is why I can't see the dog. That's okay." Why was I laughing? I was sitting in like a gazebo having a cup of coffee, and a dog walked up to me with, oh my goodness, all the same colors too. It's what I dreamt about. Okay. It had a galasha, a rubber boot in its mouth, and it's there, and it just kind of pranced up, and it's like, "Come play, come on, let's go play, come on, let's go play." You know how dogs get?
Yeah.
And I started laughing, and it woke up Shira, and it woke me up. And I can't get it out of my head. It's the same colored dog that had the dog in my dream had longer hair. But it made me so happy to see that dog, so excited over something small. This rubber boot. He wants to go play. Come on, let's go play. It's time to go play.
Yeah, that's all he wants to do is play.
I mean, you see it in the eyes, It's almost like a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So, anything? Have anybody? Any more comments? they want to make or anything they want to talk about, if there's something you want to talk to me personally about, get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to do that. My wife and I always have time for everything. Everything, because that's our job. And we're just trying to help people. We've had all the bumps and scrapes and bruises we need learning all this stuff. So we would like to pass it on without having somebody get headaches and earaches and everything else from listening, just helping people. That's what we're all about, nothing else. And helping God, of course, because that's what he asks us to do, be partners with him, to make the world just the way it's supposed to be. People think, most religions think we're going somewhere. We're going up to heaven with God. He created heaven for us right here. We just kind of screwed it up a little bit over the years, but he's going to be right back. This is where we're going to be. We're not going anywhere. He's going to be here with us. We spend our lives doing one thing, bringing heaven down to earth, because this is where God wants it. That's why he created earth, not to throw it away.
Multiple times in the Hebrew scriptures, and I think mostly the Psalms, it says the righteous shall inherit the earth.
There you go. And that's not just the Jewish righteous, but it's also the righteous of human beings.
It says the righteous.
Right.
For clarification, I've come across those passages and I've looked at it in the Hebrew, and this is the righteous will inherit.
Right.
Without any designation of this group is righteous and this group is not right. No, it says the righteous.
This is the hardest thing to get through the teaching through to people, that everything they taught learned in other places is not right. Everybody belongs to the group of the righteous that inherit the earth. Everybody belongs to the family of God, and each and every one of us are brothers and sisters. We simply have the firstborn and everybody else, just like in any family. And it's usually in a family, the firstborn, one of his duties or her duties in the family is to teach the ones that come along after. He's the guy that gets beat up, or she's the guy, goes through all the mistakes and everything. And if you've had more than two kids, you grew up with more than one brother or one sister, you've seen it work in your family system. The firstborn always got the most trouble for everything. The secondborn, a little more. By the time you get to third or fourth, oh, yes, baby, what would you like? Yes, we'll take care of it for you. And the firstborn, secondborn, and thirdborn are taking care of the babyborn. But they're all family. They're all brothers and sisters. It's just looking out for one another. So God calls the Jews the firstborn. So we're the ones that get beat up all the time. We're the ones that have the biggest problem. But as we learn, we pass it on to our brothers and sisters. And that's what it's all about. It's just one big, we're family. It's true family. It's true being of one with God. And I love it. Okay, anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Whatever. Listen, I just want to say how much I appreciate the people that come into the groups on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but you don't have to feel obligated to be here. In other words, if you don't show up, somebody else will show up. It's okay, I won't be by myself. That's the reason that you come. I know it's late. I toyed with making it at 8 or 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. That means I just got to get up at 3 in the morning instead of 4 in the morning, which really throws a monkey wrench into every single day of my days. So I get up at 4:15 in the morning. So I used to get up at 5. So 45 minutes is no big deal. Bring more people with you. If you can get anybody, just sit down and listen for a little bit. See if they can come along and ask questions. We don't debate, but we will answer questions. And I feel so, with you guys, feel so at home and feel so relaxed. So sometimes I act like a little bit of an idiot, I'm a ham, so it's just the way it is. My brother and sisters had to put up with that their whole life at home. Guys, I really love you guys. It's just so good to be with you guys. Feels good. And we'll see you back online here Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, USA. If you want to get a hold of me before that, get a hold of me. I'm here. See you later.